College Gym Vids fan going live on YouTube. I'm going to put Food Paradise, I think it's Food Paradise, Steak Paradise on. I'm going to hit the record button now on the DVR. Oh, look at that cute little cat. Screensaver. Cute little kittens with a daisy.
Steak Paradise button 8 of 10.
This was on Destination America.
It's what's for dinner, and for real meat eaters, nothing beats the most classic preparation. When you want a meal that really sizzles, you don't need a menu. Just order up a steak.
Filet mignon, excellent. Prime rib is awesome.
Courthouse course every does. Great steak.
This is unbelievable. I love steak.
Steak today is more than just the traditional cuts. It can be sliced up and smothered in cheese.
Cheesesteak. It's a breakfast of champions.
Made from wild beasts.
Yeah, how do you usually like your yak?
And even served raw.
Oh my god, that's phenomenal.
However you slice it, we've got the cut for you. So join us as we check out the best beef across the country in search of Steak Paradise.
Food Paradise, Steak Paradise.
The United States is the red meat capital of the world, consuming more than 14 million tons of beef per year, more than any other country.
This is going to be a 72-ounce steak eventually. It's rough to figure out how many hundreds of thousands of pounds that we do. We go by truckloads.
It tastes delicious.
Red meat truly became a staple of the American diet in the late 19th century, when refrigerated railway cars made it possible to ship Western beef east. Our search for Steak Paradise begins at one of the oldest and most renowned steakhouses in the country, located in the city that was the heart of this turn-of-the-century beef boom.
There's only one best, and this is it.
Situated at the base of the Williamsburg Bridge across the river from Wall Street in a modest part of Brooklyn, New York, lies the Peter Luger Steakhouse. It may not look like much, but for many patrons, this is the Vatican of meat.
Oh, fantastic. The best. The best ever.
Peter Luger's is the place for the ultimate steak.
We traveled 45 minutes from Fifth Avenue and 52nd just to eat this steak. And how many times do you travel 45 minutes to have a steak in the middle of the day on a school day?
Your waiter will be right there to pick your order.
Wonderful, thank you.
Today, Jody Storch is the third generation of her family to maintain the tradition of excellence, still cooking up what many believe are the world's best steaks in the original location.
This is one of the oldest steakhouses in New York. We've been around since 1887. We're a very simple restaurant about simple preparation, and it's all about the meat.
Beautiful. It's the Michelangelo steaks.
Jody's grandfather, Saul Foreman, discovered the joy of steak at these tables. And when founder Peter Luger put the restaurant up for auction in 1950, Saul was happy to make the highest bid, despite having no experience in food service.
Really understood that if we're going to be a well-known steakhouse, we are going to serve the best meat possible.
To guarantee quality control, Saul's wife Marcia learned to select the beef for Luger's signature entrees, and she passed her skills on to the younger generations, who still choose every cut of beef served at Peter Luger's today.
Of course, the family buys the best meat. Handpick the meat. You ever heard of that? Who does that in the business today?
Luger's commitment to superlative sirloin starts while it's still on the hoof.
There are certain breeds that we look for more than others. For example, we've always been into the Hereford cattle or Angus. We prefer that over the Texas Longhorn cattle.
After processing, the steer are quartered and shipped to meat markets around the country. The USDA assigns grades to each quarter. There are 8 grades, starting at the low end with canner and moving up to prime. For Peter Luger's, there is only one grade.
There are many things we look for. The first thing, it has to have a stamp that says prime. You have to feel meat. You have to feel a silky texture. You don't want a rubbery texture. You don't want a gummy texture. Then we also look at the bones to make sure it's from a nice young animal. Here you could see the very nice pink and rosy color. You see the flecking of the fat, which is going to give it its wonderful flavor.
The fat, the flavor, the juices, the sauce. I mean, it's perfect.
This is our dry aging room. There are fans going, and there is a special temperature that the room is the meat is sent to achieve its full flavor potential. And here you can see the meat is getting nice and dry and getting a nice crust on it. And inside it's all broken down. The fibers are going to be nice and tender.
Well, there are very few secrets in a steakhouse. The amount of time we age something is very secret to our hearts, so I can't tell you that.
As important to the flavor of the steak as the marbling and the dry aging is what part of the steer you slice it from.
Peter Luger's is known for the porterhouse steak. That comes from the short loin portion of the animal. This is the porterhouse in the back. This is the sirloin side, and this is the fillet side. And what's nice about the porterhouse, people sometimes call it the king of all steaks because it appeases the sirloin flavor and the fillet flavor.
When the beef is finally aged to perfection, it's butchered, trimmed, and sent up to the kitchen. Every steak is made to order, and they're cooked at an extremely high temperature of 800 degrees. And even though they make their own steak sauce, they don't recommend putting it on the steak.
The funny thing about the Peter Luger steak sauce is all of us here believe that really good meat doesn't need sauce on it, and we actually don't like when people put the steak sauce on it. We have a sliced tomato and onion salad, and you chop in some of the Luger sizzling bacon, and you put the sauce on it, and it's really wonderful.
Don't forget to use the Luger sauce on the bacon.
We have a very simple way of preparing the steak.
This was sold, laid on, drop some water on the plate, slice it up and put it back in the finishes on the grill. That's about it. Now we waiting for the train to come in.
Once the steaks are ready, house rules say they need to get to the dining table within 2 minutes of leaving the broiler.
That's right.
Waiter's supposed to run with it to the table so that it's crackling and very much alive when it's brought to the table.
Peter Luger serves up over 10 tons of beef every week. With their legendary steaks in such high demand, reservations need to be made weeks in advance.
It's always very busy. 500 a day, roughly speaking. Even when we're so very busy.
And anyone who does land a table at Luger's can leave their plastic at home because it's cash only, unless your credit card has the Peter Luger name on it.
We're up to about 90,000 credit card holders. So, we go in consecutive numbers. So the lower the number, the longer time customer you've been. So it means a lot to them.
For 24 years straight, the Zagat survey has named Peter Luger's New York's best steakhouse. And anyone who's eaten here can tell you why.
Steak is great.
Really is good. The best steakhouse in New York is great ambience. Love it.
This is where real people eat, have conversation, just say, eat the steak, that's what you're here for, that's all you really need here. It's a real thing.
The classic Peter Luger.
When Steak Paradise returns, we visit a New England steakhouse where you'll never have to ask, where's the beef?
It's rough to figure out how many hundreds of thousands of pounds that we do. We go by truckloads.
Narrow targets. Your first refill free. Banking with Chime today. And enter this coupon. Hi, welcome to Hilltop. How many?
Sitting behind the 68-foot cactus is a mammoth steakhouse that seats 1,250 people and employs a staff of 500.
Get 1 or 2 truckloads of beef every day. It's rough to figure out how many hundreds of thousands of pounds that we do. We go by truckloads.
Right now, I would say we use pretty close to 4,000 pounds of meat a week. But then when the warmer weather comes and we get into the outdoor cookouts, it probably goes up to about maybe 5,500 to 5,800 pounds a week. We use approximately 1,600 to 1,700 pounds of the marinated sirloin tips a week.
With the incredible amount of meat they go through, you can rest assured that a nice hearty portion is served on every plate.
We've been coming here for about 40 years now, and like we're all playing some golf and shoot up here afterwards for a little bite to eat, a lot to bite to eat. They give you quite a big meal up here, so it's a great steakhouse.
Yeah, it's a good restaurant, give you plenty to eat. I'm a big guy, I'm a big eater, I like coming.
Awesome. Everything about Hilltop is huge. You know, the weight, the size of the food, except the prices. That's the only thing that's not huge. Enjoy your meal.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The Hilltop has stayed true to its roots, offering generous helpings of food at great prices, just as founder Frank Giuffrida did in 1961. And the steaks are still phenomenal.
This is a 12-ounce cut, a little gill on top, and then we serve it, and customers happy.
The prime rib is delicious. Everything is always cooked just right. And the atmosphere and the wait staff is superb. Jamie?
Well done French fries.
Can't go wrong with whatever you order here. You never walk away from here hungry or disappointed with your meal.
In addition to the
I love prime
customers come
rib.
for the Western
I've had
food
prime
atmosphere.
rib at Outback Steakhouse. And I've had prime rib at Longhorn Steakhouse.
Dodge City, which is over here at our lounge now, that's the original old restaurant that started in 1961. They just kept adding on. They added Kansas City, and then they added Sioux City and the butcher shop.
All the western cities, people like to come here for that too, just because you feel like you're in the old west.
Number 17, party of 2 to Sioux City. Number 17, 65, party of 4 to Sioux City, please.
Frank's favorite was John Wayne, so that's how everything got named, was all from the Wild West TV shows and stuff like that. We have the steer on the wall, the heads, the horns. Everything is old antique stuff that Frank collected over the years. The cows were put in front about 1962. Everyone comes in and has their pictures taken of the cows. We've even had one cow that was taken and put on the top of MIT. They did that for a prank.
They actually look like real cows. And there's like little ones and big ones. I want to milk one.
Whether it's the food, the cactus, or the plastic cattle, the Hilltop outside of Boston has obviously hit on a winning strategy, and they don't aim to change.
The menu is basically the same menu it's been since we started at 61.
I've been coming here about 25 years. I can remember when I was a little girl coming here with my mom and just having like the pork cutlet. The place hasn't changed at all, really. It's still the same setup, same atmosphere, same good food.
We've been coming here a long, long time. And my family started coming here, and my granddaughter, and now my great-granddaughter.
And I think if you go up and down Route 1, all these steakhouses that pop up and they try to imitate, and because they do, they don't last very long. And I think that's the way it'll always be, because they have good people that run it and good people that work here, and the food is delicious. And that's why we keep coming back.
When Steak Paradise returns, it's Philly cheesesteak warfare.
I've never walked on his payment.
I don't know too much about Geno's. I mean, where's it at anyway? Oh, it's across the street.
That safe light on?
The call came out.
Every day to Pat's King of Steaks on the corner of 9th Street and Passyunk Avenue, the birthplace of the Philly cheesesteak.
People here in Philadelphia, I'm going to Philadelphia, they're coming for cheesesteaks because that's what we're famous for.
We came up to get the best steaks in Philly, so came here.
I live in LA now, and I'm tasting the names. Everybody trying to duplicate me, but it's not like this.
It all began back in 1930. Started off as a hot dog stick.
First aired 3/12/2008. Popular steak eateries Peter Luger's in New York, the Big Texas Steak Ranch in Amarillo. 44 minutes.
And actually, guys in here were working one day and they got tired of eating them hot dogs. Went down to the butcher, they got some meat, they threw it on the grill. Cab driver comes along, he says to them, hey, give me one of them. He eats it, he says, you know what, get rid of the hot dogs, he said, start selling steaks. And that's how it all began.
Good cheesesteak. The cheese whiz surprised me. I didn't know that made the cheese and cheesesteak, but it was good.
Pat Steaks, founded by brothers Pat and Harry Oliveri, is credited as being the first place to serve Philly cheesesteaks.
Cheese whiz.
But they still call it just a steak sandwich, which is what it originally was.
Well, the cheesesteak come later till the 1960s. We used cheese whiz. We melt it down in a double broiler, which is a lot easier to work with. Cheese whiz is our most popular sandwich. Next.
Steak with onion.
Cheese and onions.
But then later on in years, people started asking for provolone, American, then they wanted peppers, then they wanted mushrooms, so everything got added as we went along.
The more options there are, the more time it takes to order. So Pat's created its own lingo to keep the lines moving.
We use a language here called, it's a cheese with,
Bag of whiz with,
or a cheese without.
cheese whiz without.
With meaning onions, without meaning no onions. Because the line is really long. You don't want to hold the line up for the person behind you, because you don't want to make him angry. He's hungry, he wants to eat. So you'll read the sign, and then you'll get in line, and when you get to the window, you'll be able to tell us exactly what you want.
Okay, I just don't want to mess up the flow thing here. Okay, so I want my steak with onions, cheese whiz, provolone, American cheese.
You want 3 different cheeses on your sandwich. Is that what you're saying to me?
You gotta help me. You've done this.
Okay, she want a cheese steak sandwich.
Yeah, you help me.
Do you like onions?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna give you a cheese whiz.
Okay.
This is a cheese whiz, honey.
Oh my gosh.
Cheese stick.
Oh, that looks so good. No. No help. I'm happy. Very happy. Thumbs up.
Next.
Hey, wait.
No.
Once the order is in, Pat's line cooks set the land speed record for fast food.
3 seconds, your steak is out the window.
They start with thinly sliced ribeye.
We have a person who fries the meat, we have a person who makes your sandwich, and we have a person who puts your cheese on it, and we have a person who collects your money. So it's like an assembly line.
Open round the clock, Pat sells about 1,500 cheesesteaks a day. That's close to 10 tons of beef every week.
Next. Who's next? Do you ever see like McDonald's and it says over 1 billion served? We did that last weekend. Oh, sure, it's great being the greatest steak shop in the world. You know, everybody comes here. They filmed the motion picture Rocky here, as we have a plaque outside on the pavement here where Rocky stood filming the movie. It's really neat.
For over 75 years, Pat's has ruled this corner of Philadelphia. According to its loyal customers, that is.
We've never tried that one. It looks pretty, you know, with the lights, camera action, you know, like Vegas, but this is one we always hear about. We never even went over there.
Over there is Gino's Steaks, who has been giving Pat's a run for its money ever since they opened in 1960.
Everybody in town, it's Pat or Gino's. That's what everybody says. Some say you gotta go to Gino's, and some say you gotta go to Pat.
The cheesesteak one? I think Pat's is the much better cheesesteak.
No, come on. Gino's is the place. I've been coming here for 20 years. I love Gino's. I'll never go to Pat's.
Can I help you?
One cheese whiz with onions.
First-time visitors might have trouble picking one restaurant over the other. Both offer al fresco dining, and Gino's menu is practically identical to Pat's. Both build their sandwiches from tons of hand-sliced ribeye. But hardcore Gino's fans will tell you there's no comparison.
Pat's steaks? That's not my favorite. This is the best place to eat cheesesteaks in Philly. I eat roughly 6 cheesesteaks a month. And I like to do the comparison between, obviously, Gino's steaks and Pat's steaks. We're standing over here for a reason. Pat's is winning.
Pat's cheesesteaks is much better. They put a lot more steak on the sandwiches here.
Yeah, I always went to Pat's, but now I go to Gino's. A lot cleaner.
Obviously, Gino's is much more showy because they have flashing lights, and Pat's looks a little older, but you don't judge a book by its cover.
The man with the most at stake in the great cheesesteak debate refuses to set foot in enemy territory.
There, I've never walked on his pavement.
I don't know too much about Gino's. I mean, where's it at anyway? Oh, it's across the street.
Ever since the day he opened Gino's in 1966, Joey Vento has made it his mission to take the crown from the king of steaks.
I mean, they all say, well, he's the king. How could he be the king? Because if you work 7 days a week, I'm going to work 8. If you work 24 hours a day, I'm going to work 30. I was born with a spatula in my hand.
From a humble start, Joey has built his steakhouse into a genuine Philadelphia landmark.
I don't cut no corners. We sell a couple thousand sandwiches a day.
Gino's cheesesteaks consist of thinly sliced ribeye just like Pat's, but there's one noticeable difference that sets them apart.
They chop up the meat. We don't do that here. Poor animal's already dead when it comes here. We don't have to beat it to death, you know. I mean, you get a little bite to it, you know. It's a real piece of meat. I mean, we've had days where I pushed out 4,500 sandwiches.
Got 2 ways, one without.
I'll be 68 next month, and I love this. I can't wait to come into work. I don't miss a day. 41 years.
I've been coming here all my life. It's an excellent quick meal for lunch. Geno's is absolutely heaven.
Cher was here.
When Hollywood visits Philly, even the stars stuff their famous faces at Geno's.
Guys like Nicolas Cage, he says whenever he comes here, Geno's is the first stop. I served him one morning, pulled up in a cab, got his steaks, took off. And to be honest with you, the biggest celebrity here is Joey Pinto.
The great steak war of Philadelphia rages on. But will there ever be a victor?
You have to eat one here and one at Geno's, a whole steak, and that's the only way you can really make the right decision.
No matter which side you're on, so long as Geno's and Pat's continue to face off here in Philadelphia, this is one contest that every steak lover wins.
Ready to rate it? I think the steaks are pretty evenly matched.
I would have to agree with you. They're both awesome.
Don't want to miss any taste.
When Steak Paradise returns, we head to a real Texas ranch where the steaks are as hearty as the cowboys serving them.
Usually they start off with a 3-pounder and say, well, I'll go ahead and try the 4-pounder. We'll cut it to whatever size you want.
And then it's the ultimate Wild West showdown as 3 brave carnivores duel it out with the biggest steak around.
Jesus Smacks are the most satisfying combination of crunch with cheese, with their delicious perfection.
Cheese.
It's not all about you, cheese.
You think I have a mouth? I'm a wheel of cheese.
Got a point.
Yeah. Cheesy, crunchy satisfaction.
Jordians asked, when it comes to managing your type 2 diabetes, what matters to you? Step up to the stage here. Feeling good about that? Let's see. Most of you say low A1C. But only a few of you are thinking about your heart. Fact is, even though it helps to manage A1C, type 2 diabetes still increases your risk of a fatal heart attack or stroke. Jardiance is the first type 2 diabetes pill with a life-saving
Genuine Texas ranch.
We originally started out as a horseback riding ranch. This is Dynasty. He's my favorite. We wanted to keep the western atmosphere out here. Right now we have about 30,000 acres, close to 50 square miles of land.
Located just outside El Paso on the Indian Cliffs Ranch, the Cattleman's Steakhouse has been a hidden paradise for meat lovers since 1973.
It's not like the typical steakhouse. We eat out a lot. Really compared to the steak we have here. We make the drive because it's really just that good worth the drive.
First and foremost, we're one of the best steaks in the country. All of our steaks are aged to perfection and cut on premises. And that's really what we stake our reputation on.
We buy the best. We don't buy anything that we don't like.
The flavor of the steak. You really can't get a steak that tastes like this anywhere else.
Really can't. One key to that unique flavor is the carefully crafted blend of seasonings that go on every steak.
That's a secret that only about 3 of us in the whole company would know. I don't know, about 150 employees. We've known of people that try to buy our recipes, but with no luck.
It's very, very good. Very juicy. It's very Texas.
And since this is Texas, they'll cut your steak as big as you like. 4-pound T-bones are requested on a regular basis.
Sometimes you get 2 or 3 a week. It all depends. Usually they start off with a 3-pounder and say, well, I'll go ahead and try the 4-pounder. We'll cut it to whatever size you want. It's a porterhouse. It's aged to perfection. And it's got a big size fillet on there. This is the New York side. There's your T-bone. And this is a fillet.
It takes a cook here practicing pretty much every day about a year for him to become average. Not good, but average. And we've had our cook for such a long time. It's very hard to replace him. It'll take about 2 years for you to replace an experienced cook.
This steak is tremendous. It's consistent. They've never made this thing. I love this place. It's delicious.
The authentic feel and character of this desert ranch have made it not just a destination for steak lovers, but also a destination for Hollywood filmmakers.
This is our movie Hall of Fame, and we also have some memorabilia from the different movies that were filmed. This is one of the areas that was used for the filming of Courage Under Fire, and this whole area was meant to resemble the Iraqi desert. Some of the other films, Day After Tomorrow, they had some scenes shot out here. The Border, Lone Wolf McQuade with Chuck Norris.
But if you want to see the most spectacular sight at the Cattleman's Steakhouse, just wait till the end of the day.
This is probably the best place to view sunsets in El Paso. Western heritage is a huge part of what we are. So it's more than just a restaurant. It's a place where you can get some of the best steaks in the country and spend a day seeing the sights and taking it all in.
I love this sunset over the mountains, and just to see the setting of the sun creates such an atmosphere, not only of romance, but also putting an atmosphere where you're comfortable, where you can enjoy yourself, and just the line on those mountains is just wonderful.
Little piece of the old West, kind of come out and get away from the city and the hustle and the bustle, and come out here, relax, have a good steak, and be with friends and family.
Texans claim everything's bigger in the Lone Star State, and if you head 500 miles northeast of Cattleman's to Amarillo, you'll find that state is no exception. At the Big Texan, if you can cowboy up and devour their biggest steak, you eat for free.
It's the ultimate challenge. I mean, you got billboards starting way back in Arkansas challenging, $3.72 steak at the Big Texan in Amarillo. Here's your chance to get up on that stage and sit down and take the ultimate Texas challenge. I'm bigger than Texas. Sure, I can do it. We'll put it down in front of me and then watch a little girl scream.
Welcome to the Big Texan, the heavyweight champion of steakhouses.
It really yells out, this is Texas.
People know that big cowboy up there. My dad had that built in 1960 and became an icon of Route 66. He had this idea of opening up a cowboy steakhouse in the middle of the Texas Panhandle and calling it the Big Texan because everything is big in Texas.
In the early days, real cowboys from the Amarillo stockyards came to the Big Texan to get their grub on. Over 4 decades later, the Lee brothers have pulled out all the stops to recreate that Old West experience. And it begins as soon as you step foot on the porch.
The Big Texan is about duplicating Texas of yesteryear, a story about the West. And when our guests stop here, they walk across this porch coming into our restaurant. It's about the noise that it makes when you're walking across it. What we want is when somebody walks in the front door to see a barrage of something that you'd see like in the Old West.
The atmosphere here is fantastic. Just walking in the building from the outside, I just made out new video out of some breath. It's like a novelty.
It's awesome. Everything's good.
Oh, table 53.
The Big Texan is a feast for all 5 senses. And to give their customers the complete cowboy experience, they grill the steaks right out in the dining room.
Up here in the cook shack, we have 3 broilers that 225,000 BTUs apiece that can put out some grub. I mean, we put out about 400,000 pounds of beef a year.
You have 24-ounce, 28-ounce, 36-ounce. People, when they come here, they want bigger and bigger and bigger steaks. When it comes to packing that colon, the Big Texan's magical.
You celebrate the beauty of Texas.
Many who walk through these doors fancy themselves big eaters. But only those with true grit are brave enough to face down the legendary 72-ouncer, the baddest steak in town. Today,
God, I don't know how somebody could eat 72 ounces of steak.
I'm from the Texas Panhandle, and I've been coming here, well, pretty much ever since I got out of diapers.
My name is Richard Vati, and I'm from Los Angeles, and I'm trying to reclaim the family name by being able to finish it off on my 40th birthday.
And I'm Eric from San Francisco, and I'm here for Skip's 40th birthday.
And they're off.
Have 1 hour to eat. 4 ounce salads and top stir on, dinner roll, dinner salad, baked potato, extra choice of veggie. Good mark.
72 ounces is a whole lot of beef to eat in 1 hour, but it's not impossible.
Some people have eaten more than one in 1 hour. Some people have eaten it raw. And we had a 500-pound Siberian tiger eat it in 90 seconds.
For an animal used to feasting on a 200-pound wild boar, a 72-ounce steak isn't much of a challenge. But the fastest human time is amazingly under 10 minutes.
The fastest time for doing the 72-ounce steak was a pitcher for the Cincinnati Reds named Frank Pastoria. Frank ate the entire meal in 9.5 minutes.
Frank's record is safe. Only 5 minutes remain, and there's still a daunting amount of meat on these plates.
There we go, fellas. Double up as much as you can right now.
Come on! You barely put a dent in that thing.
Let's go. 5 minutes left, I might just pick it up and just down it.
I'm not claiming I'm related to you anymore if you don't finish it. Talk of a hero. Oh, God, no.
Our 3 carnivores did their best, but in the end, the 72-ounce steak gave them all a good old Texas whooping.
Well, fellas, looks like the great Big Texan won again, yeah? Definitely extremely full.
I finished my side, so, I'm off 2 pounds.
And I could not swallow. This fight right here is not done. I started with like 5 minutes left. I'm gonna get it before I die. Or he's gonna kill me one after two.
The Big Texan. When you're really, really, really hungry for a steak, it's the only place to go.
People come by and they say, oh, that looks like a big tourist trap. But when they come in and they take their first bite and they look at each other and say, wow, that was really, really good. And they say the 3 magical words is, we'll be back.
When Steak Paradise returns, we visit a steakhouse where the star of the menu is a cut of meat you might not expect.
They're beef testicles. You don't want to eat the Buckhorn oysters raw.
You
100% happy.
Strike it rich in the restaurant business. A man who once lived with Sitting Bull, went hunting with Teddy Roosevelt, and rode for the Pony Express, cemented his legacy when he opened the famed Buckhorn Exchange in 1893.
If you do look at the dining room downstairs, we still have the original press.
Bill Dutton.
The wood floor and the oak floor is
That guy has the same last name as me. My last name is Dutton.
And wonder if what you're seeing can see you.
Give me a home where the Buckhorn. My grandson comes from out of state, and he loves the animals on the wall, and he loves the 2-headed calf, and the ducks, and the guns.
More amazing than all the animals on the wall is Buckhorn's menu, which serves just about everything you can see. Despite being over a century old, the Buckhorn is literally ahead of the game when it comes to the future of steak.
Buckhorn Exchange is well known as that place with all the heads that serves all the weird meat. Most steakhouses, they have beef steaks. We have buffalo steaks, elk steaks, yak steaks, ostrich steaks. Wild game is the new revolutionary red meat.
You bring kids here, it's like, whoa, they're looking around and saying, well, see that deer up there? Well, that's venison. That's what we're eating. And there's a buffalo up there, and this is a buffalo down here. That's what we're eating. He goes, really? Whoa.
The most unusual dish we serve is probably the yak, and it's fun because you'll hear a server, they'll say yak, and she'll say, yeah, how do you usually like your yak?
Alright guys, are you ready?
Yeah.
So we have rattlesnake, okay, we have alligator tail with a cocktail sauce, buffalo sausage with a chili flavored polenta, and you're gonna need a little bit of this specially made buckhorn mustard to go on.
Surprisingly, the rattlesnake just tasted like any other meat kind of, especially dipping it with the chip. It was just a good little dip.
We like to come here a couple times a year, and this is the first time I've tried alligator, and it's actually very good. It tastes a lot like chicken. Maybe it has the consistency of calamari, maybe not as chewy.
Today I had buffalo prime rib, and I actually enjoyed it quite a bit. It's the first time having buffalo, and it's a very tender meat.
Buffalo is very, very lean, and it's very, very rich, but it has less fat than chicken and most fish. And this is ready to go. You can have your red meat, you can eat it, and you can still go back to your cardiologist and say, I'm good, I'm good.
You tried the alligator tail also?
How do they go after that?
Like some of the Rocky Mountain oysters.
Oysters? It may not sound like something you'd find on the menu at a wild game restaurant, but Rocky Mountain oysters aren't exactly seafood.
Rocky Mountain oysters, our signature appetizer. They're the south end of a northbound bowl.
They looked like what they were, you probably won't get the idea.
What a bull has and a steer doesn't.
They're very good.
They're beef testicles, and they're our biggest selling appetizer.
Good balls. Delicious.
People love the Buckhorn Exchange because we're an absolutely unique dining experience. We're combining Old West hospitality and taste of the Old West with true curiosity satisfying offerings.
It's fun to have a place in Denver that has been here for a very long time and is still in existence because restaurants come and restaurants go. But the Buckhorn just stays and stays. Really good balls.
When Steak Paradise returns, we head back east, far east, for the latest sensation in steak. And it's so good, you don't even need to cook it.
Oh my God. That's phenomenal.
You missed.
You at the center of the...
My friend here, she's like, oh, let's go to Mango and we have to try their food. It's like the best steak I've ever had.
Traditionally, great American beef has come from American cattle. But at Megu, people are discovering the new superstar of steak is not homegrown. It's imported from the Kobe region of Japan. Everyone who tries it agrees. Kobe is several cuts above the competition.
This actually melts in your mouth.
But a reservation at Megu will get you more than a superlative meal. They've created a lavish dining environment that transports guests to another world.
It's unbelievable. You don't see a place like this in New York City.
Hiro Nishida is president of Foodscope America, the creators of this extraordinary dining experience.
This restaurant is very unique design, designed by the Japanese designer Morita from a glamorous company. Most of the material that we use in the dining rooms are really true to Japanese materials from bamboos and also Japanese tile and also Japanese soy wool.
When you walk in and there's this ceiling, you can't help but feel just like, oh.
A masterpiece of interior design, the main dining hall is dominated by a mammoth bronze temple bell hanging from the ceiling. Below it sits the armor of a Japanese warrior that is replaced later in the evening by an ice statue of the Buddha, quietly melting into an abstract sculpture. Every day the statue is carved fresh for the next evening's guests. Eating at Megu is total sensory bliss, but the 7,000 plus customers who come here every month are here for one thing, an exquisite steak.
Filet mignon and the Chateaubriand are the most popular cuts because it gives you a really good flavor from the marbleized fat.
As with all meat, it's the fat that makes the texture and flavor of the steak so special. But this is no ordinary fat.
You see the Japanese beef is very strong marbleized. You see this all the white part is the marbleized fat, that high unsaturated fat. So you see that the beef is starting to melt with my finger temperature. So imagine that if this is in your body, higher unsaturated fat means it digests it much quicker than American beef that has the fat outside of meat.
Very good.
To achieve this exceptional quality, the Kobe steer have been specially bred and raised in conditions that would be the envy of any farm.
Stress is bad for the meat, quality of beef. So giving a beer, giving alcohol, and playing music and doing a little massage, that is a way of releasing the stress of the beef.
Prepared with simple elegance, the steaks are enhanced with a variety of exotic flavors and condiments.
This is the Hennessy flambe.
The flavor is just delicious. It's a nice equilibrium of taste and tenderness. It's a great food experience. It tastes delicious.
This is actually a tasting of all of them. So this has a miso, and this has a wasabi, and this has fresh garlic.
Unbelievable. This is great. Want some?
For the ultimate steak experience, the most daring diners can sample beef sashimi.
This is in Japanese called karubi. In English we call short ribs. And you can also enjoy with a sashimi style. Simply slice it is a raw meat.
Oh my god. That's phenomenal.
Even though it's over $100 for 11 ounce, people come here and pay for it because they have never experienced such textures and such flavors in any other steakhouse in America.
Can I eat more of it? Is that okay?
From the decor to the incomparable Kobe beef, Megu is a one-of-a-kind steakhouse
Oh,
experience.
look, they're drinking red wine with steak. Red wine and steak go good together. I had red wine with my steak at Ruth Chris
Great environment and
Steakhouse.
eating experience.
So good.
Delicious. Have some.
Beef can be served many ways, but nothing beats a great steak. For the ultimate flavor, it's the only way to go.
When people think of a high-end meal, basically they incorporate steak because it's real expensive to get a great piece of steak.
I'm a steak eater. I do love steak.
Delicious. And every time it's delicious.
Good balls. Really good balls.
It's juicy and creamy. Just melted.
Can I love them all? Okay, I love them all.
I'm a carnivore and happy about it. I like eating meat.
It doesn't get any better. It doesn't get any better.
Get ready for a battle like you've never seen before.
I am a little nervous, but excited.
They're the tallest, fastest, most pulse-pounding super rides America has to offer. And the beast is the
This
best.
was on Destination America, this steak paradise.
Today, 4 of the most thrilling wooden roller coasters bound for your boat. You will pick the winner at travelchannel.com.
It was totally awesome.
Only one will walk away with the top prize. This is Insane Coaster Wars. Wooden roller coasters are America's thrill ride. They became wildly popular with thrill seekers in the 1920s. And ever since, wooden coasters have been a staple in virtually every amusement park around the world. We put together a one-of-a-kind, head-to-head battle between 4 of these timber terror machines. Today's competitors include the Beast at Kings Island in Ohio, Thunderhead at Dollywood in Tennessee, the Voyage at Holiday World in Indiana, and
Peace out, YouTube.